Hi,
Hi, good
I'm just
afternoon.
I'm just Iorio. I'm here with the CEO of Mama's Towing. Hi, I'm just Iorio. How are
Tommy
you?
Masch, nice to meet you.
Okay, so you're very involved with Winter Circle, I would say, right?
Correct.
I want to publicly thank you for donating and sponsoring us. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Let's start off with getting to know you.
Sure.
When did you get a loving for cars?
Well, my first loving for cars is when I was 16 years old. My first car was my mom's 70 Dodge Dart, which I was always kind of jealous of the other guys in the neighborhood because they always have the super stock Chevelles and the big Chryslers and stuff. So I was kind of in the back of the bunch, but it progressed to that. And then I went to BOCES for automotive and progressed from there.
So actually, I wanted to go to BOCES for automotive. I ended up not going, but that's really cool. Also, your first car. Tell me more about that. That's such an interesting car to me.
Well, the 70 Dodge Dart was a small 318 two barrel, and basically it was my mom's car. So my mom actually got another vehicle, which is the K car, the Chrysler. And I had that all through high school, and I did some modifications through that. And unfortunately, it met with a very bad demise. It got rear-ended and hit the fuel pump and sent it into flames, unfortunately.
That's awful. That car sounds really cool.
So going back to BOCES, the tech center, so back in the late 80s, technology was a lot different from the technology of today. Many of the scopes, the testers, distributors were in that timeline, but today we don't have distributors. We have fuel injection systems, we have pulse systems, we have electronic ignitions, computer controlled ignition. So basically all the scopes back when I was in the tech center they're obsolete. They're good for the older cars, good to start, but everything's all computerized and you need special scopes and licenses and so forth and so on.
Yeah, that's kind of why I decided not to go to BOCES. AI is kind of taking over that a lot, which kind of is a bummer because cars are really interesting to me. What is your favorite car?
My favorite car right now sitting is my 65 Plymouth Belvedere 2 with a 440 big block in it.
Why is it your favorite?
Because it's red. Because I always wanted the Plymouth and I like that body style. Throughout my car career and also owning military vehicles as well, I started back then when I was young and kind of progressed from there. Sometimes you get that the green disease. The green disease is basically military vehicles because they're all green. So I have stuff from 1940s all the way up through the 70s.
So you said you owned military cars. Did
Correct.
you have a military background?
Yes, I joined the U.S. Army when I was 37 years old. I was a combat engineer and licensed to drive heavy trucks as well.
So you drove heavy trucks? Did you drive like
Humvees, 5 tons, 2.5 tons, wreckers, and my crew serve weapon was a 50 caliber machine gun.
That is awesome. I would like to switch things up to maybe talk more about your business.
Sure.
I know there's a lot of future business owners. What inspired you to start a business?
So back in 1989, my father bought our first tow truck. He was an IBMer, and everybody was retiring in the shutdown, so he decided to start a sub business. So I was working for him with the business. I had worked in retail, and I also worked truck driving over the road. So that kind of filtered in. Our first truck was a 69 Ford with a locally made body, Ortez Manufacturing in Hopewell Junction, New York. And I just built the groundwork for the business and moved on from there. Insurance was a lot cheaper back then. The trucks are a lot cheaper, but things have changed and very expensive these days now.
Yeah, I know that. So what's like a message that you can give future business owners?
Future business owners, what they need to do is you can't just start a business and get in a truck. You need to do research and marketing for your area. You have to see what your upstart costs are going to be, what your insurance costs are going to be, your reliability of your service vehicle is going to be. Again, a lot of people are going into the medical field or AI, but there is a need for the service industry. And the service industry, you have to have experience to get your feet off the ground and start working for somebody, then you can branch off from there.
Do you think you're going to need more certifications in the upcoming years as technology increases?
No, I think it's more common sense because the trucks are basically very easy to use. but you also can get in big trouble if you don't know how to use the trucks properly for recovery, towing, and transportation.
That's interesting. I mean, I've not actually thought about towing. I think it sounds really cool though. Do you is there like a lot of people that like need towing now? Or
Well, you have different aspects of towing. You have transportation of new cars. You have wrecks, recoveries, or just general breakdowns.
in 5 to 10 years, where do you see your business going?
5 to 10 years. Well, I hope to continue on our trajectory of my business and building the brand. And hopefully that one day, the time is going to be to move on to something bigger and better and retirement. I've been doing this for almost 38 years.
That's a long time. Where did you learn all this information about cars? Did you go to like a special type of school? Obviously, you said you did BOCES,
So,
but is there like another way you learned all that information?
so basically, I've learned on my own or through my father. The recovery towing part of it, when I first started, I worked at a retail store. And I always went back and forth to the diner to get coffee or whatever. And it used to be the Ford dealership. And I said, there was an accident near my house. I grabbed the truck and I got a brand new Audi, which was 1985 at the time. And that's when I started working for somebody and learned my way ropes through the towing and storage industry.
That's interesting. I like that a lot. Have you ever built a factory 5 car? Because you're kind of involved in Winter Circle, and we're designing a Cobra, and it's going really well for us. But I want to know if you've made any.
I haven't built a factory 5, but the military vehicles like the Willys Jeep that you guys seen at the museum is basically almost the same concept of a kit. So each part is designed to be intertwined with another Jeep, like a Cobra. So the motors come out in one, the body comes off, the frames come off, the axles come off. And just basically, if something went wrong, you can take another body, put it on there, put another Jeep on there. So it's pretty much, standard of expediency and getting the job done as far as the Jeeps goes. As far as the Cobras go, I think with the kit car innovation has come a long way. There were many different kit cars back in the 60s and 70s, but the revitalization of an American muscle car, such as the Daytona and the Cobras, is fantastic. And the young people that are doing these projects, the schools, the districts need to step up and make sure these projects are funded by people from outside the school, inside the school, because this kind of stuff to do the wiring, putting things together right, and positively makes for a better future on your future endeavors and jobs.
Yeah, and nowadays, it's if you put that in your resume, employers actually really like that. It shows that you can put effort into something, like make it difficult, and it also shows problem solving because we've had so many problems, and the build team has focused on them and fixed them in a time efficiently manner. And if you got the chance, would you want to build a factory 5 car yourself?
I would like to, yes. But I would keep it basic. Just the Cobra engine, single 4-barrel carburetor, red, of course. If I may say, being a part of the program in another school program, it does build character. It does feel you're following the directions and your reading comprehension to do things right, because that'll lead to other programs. Say if you're going to work on aircraft or mechanical trucks or electronics and stuff like that, because it's all technical, it's all book. You have to read. You just can't put a wire on and call it a day and make sure it stays.
That's not safe.
Now, that being said, back in the day of the old wiring, you just clamp it and go. But now with the new technology, it's a fail-safe system. You clamp it and you heat shrink it and you're good to go.
Do you prefer cars with all this technology, or do you prefer cars like older cars with less technology, manual brakes and stuff like that?
I prefer older cars, the muscle cars, because of just the sheer raw power of the muscle car era. With the adventation of the supercars, which built from Bugatti, Lamborghini,
I love Lamborghinis.
Ferraris, built out of necessity of racing that came from Europe, then to the United States. They just built cars out of raw power. The first superchargers, turbochargers, especially Mercedes-Benz. You know, you took a 160 horsepower car and a V12 and turned it to 260 horsepower. Back then, that was a lot of speed. Nowadays, it's 5 to 1,500 horsepower in your supercars.
Yeah, but they're really expensive, upwards of like 300 grand.
Yes, the difference is the carbon fiber, but you have to remember all the carbon fibers hand-built, all processed. Back then, it was hand-built. Ford and others just invented the process, and it went from there.
Yeah, we learned. So when we took a trip to BMW headquarters, they actually like showed us carbon fiber and how it's made and how they manufacture and how they install it. It was really cool. It also looks clean too. I mean, they also said it's a lot more protective than fiberglass and regular cars now. They're also very light, which is kind of cool actually. I mean, it does take oil.
Like my Challenger, I have a '09 supercharged Challenger with a P-code supercharger. It has a carbon fiber hood. So it's just super light, super strong, but they have their weaknesses too. You know, they can hold together, but if they get impacted, they get damaged.
Do you think that car manufacturers should be limited on the amount of technology they can put in cars just to keep that nostalgic feeling, especially with
I think personally that technology is good to a certain extent. However, that being said, certain technologies take away from focusing on the road. It's all automated, so you don't have to think. And that's very dangerous. And the fact is, I'm going to say this, a lot of technologies that are embedded in the car are now being monitored by somebody else someplace else. And there's a little bit of, I'm going to say, privacy issue. Like some cars you have to pay for heated seats. When you spend $100,000 on a car.
Yeah, that's kind of
again, some technologies are good, positive, but some technologies, if they go wrong fast, and you have to have somebody to really know what they're doing to fix the problem.
Yeah, especially with like the technology. I know they're moving towards electric cars. Right. People are saying they're a fire hazard and they're not good in the winter. And if you're paying all that money, I feel like you should get a car that's good, you know? But I think that the technology in cars, it's good to have, but I think that too much technology can become very pricey, and also it can be hard to maintain it, and also maintenance too, because I know that the hybrid engines, to just get your fluids changed, it's like crazy expensive because they have to take out certain parts.
Correct. Well, the hybrids, the gas and electric, have some advantages versus electric. Electric vehicles have their place, but we don't have the grid in the electrical system to handle that. There are many vehicles that people say, oh, I can go 300 miles. Yeah, but on a good day. But once you get in traffic and heat, and it just chops the battery down. And I know, for example, like NYPD has been using hybrids for a long time. They also use a Mustang. And any calls they go on, they shut the Mustang off because the lights drain the battery. Then they got to recharge it. They've tried to use them in some police vehicles. No good. It's just not a conducive into the environment of police cars with the radios and lights and stuff. Again, they've tried to push the electric market on the heavy duty market. It doesn't work. Some places, like I've seen in China, where they actually have charging stations where they change the battery in the car. So you go to the station, they take the battery out and put a new battery in, and on your way you go. We don't have that here in the States.
That would be kind of expensive. But that would open up a lot of jobs for people. But what is your opinion on electric cars?
Again, they have a time and a place. For fire trucks, heavy-duty market, school buses, it just doesn't work in the North Country. It's just the cold would just eat the batteries up. And the replacement costs at this point right now, it's just too much for the savings and the usage.
Yeah, and also disposing of them. I heard that they're
correct
really hard to dispose of. They said it's easier to dispose of a regular battery than the electric ones because they're manufactured completely differently.
Now, as far as going back to the towing business, it's a very hard life. When you're involved with all angles of the businesses, maintenance on the truck, servicing insurance, getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, not making family functions because you're out on a call. It's a difficult life to be in. Out in the winter, the cold. I remember when I was like 17, had to go get a car in the water. It was freezing out. I came back like an icicle. It was cold.
What is one achievement that you've done with your business that you're so proud of that you wish you can like talk about with everybody?
In the towing business, it's allowed me to, on the independence of owning the business, to help people that need help, such as the Ketcham Racing, the Wrestling Booster Club, veteran services, people that are in need, because you get around to a lot of people and you build a brand, you build a reputation. My company has received several life-saving awards, merit of being out there with people and stuff like that. Dealing with any business, you have people that are the consumer that have, it's like any business, they get mad for whatever reason. You have to have the job to go clean up a fatality, and you're dealing with the parents or the folks in the accident. You're dealing with people that are, criminal activity on the other end of that. And you have to hold your cool. You just can't get mad. It's not like walking into a plumbing warehouse where the guy orders a part and you walk out.
Have you ever been like scared or like nervous seeing like that, let's just say a crash? Like, have you ever been like scared that maybe something went wrong or curious like what happened?
Well, on every incident, you have to do a 360 and take a deep breath. Okay, here's what I need to do. You can't go in it haphazard, and because a lot of people are looking, there's cameras, video, and so forth.
What is a lesson that you've learned from owning a business?
It's always a lesson. You're always learning and evolving.
Do you think that you need to evolve more now or earlier when you started your business?
I think more now using AI to ask questions on things. That's technology. Using an AI assistant per se. It sounds weird, but I have an AI assistant. If I have a question about something, it gives me a computer generated answer. And sometimes with the AI, you have to be careful because when you have that assistant, the AI tends to put words in. Like, yeah, I like that. I said, how can you like that when you're AI? Oh, my bad. So they try to be human when they know they're not. And stuff like that as a computer. It's all XOs and Texas.
That's a struggle. I mean, AI can be very useful. I just think that a lot of people misuse it now. It's kind of annoying, but I think that if it's in the right hands, I feel like it can be such a powerful tool. It could help you with your business. It can do things for you and at a quicker rate. And I feel like that it's really good for a business. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. For the new AI for like data or using a spreadsheet, your marketing and so forth. And like I said, the Facebook, Instagram, billboard ads, which is electronic, which is nice. That's all technology. And you get your name out there. But again, you have to build your brand and reputation, with your trucks and your personality and places you go and people you see.
So when you first started your business, right, you talk a lot about marketing and developing. How did you build your brand and get that recognition from the community?
Well, when I first started my business, I was going to Spackengill High School, and I would bring my tow truck to school. I was like 18. And, trying to get into the police system was difficult at best. But because people are already, I guess you would call it embedded in there, the guy to call and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So my first call with the sheriff's department was actually in front of this school because the company they called didn't show up. And they called me, hey, can you come out for this job? It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, yeah, I'll be right out. And that was my first accident call with my business. And then, many of the manufacturers, GM, Dodge, Ford, had their own embedded roadside. So you would get call from the manufacturer, anything from fuses to jump starts to whatever. But as time wore on, they felt that using third-party providers was the best way to go to save them money. But again, the third-party providers, they all went out of business, they merged with somebody else, They found people that can do it cheaper, which is says, fine, go to cheaper, but I'm not going to sell myself short to run my trucks to death.
How often would you say you need to get new trucks?
I've been trying to build my trucks out every 5 years. Like one of my older trucks, my 97 tow truck has been a great truck, just needs maintenance. The 19 Dodge has been good. The 22 Freightliner has been good. I'm in the process of building another truck.
Did you build trucks?
Well, having it built. So I have to order the cab and chassis and then order the back. So back in the day, tow trucks were anywhere from 8 to 10,000. Now they're like 78 to 150,000.
That's wow.
Insurance is crazy money. It's like 27,000 a year.
That's mine's rough too for a really old car too.
Yeah, like my son pays, a lot for his insurance, and he's 21. He's an alumni at the school here.
So one last question for you is, how did you come up with your business name, Momma's?
The business name, interesting question. Good question. So my father named it Momma's Towing with a little mom on it because everybody remembers Momma, and Momma is always there to help. So my dad started the business, and, rest his soul, he was an IBMer. So typical IBMers like to do everything themselves, all their math, all their calculating, all their stuff. So he had a basement full of papers, and I said, Dad, we got to get an accountant. Let them sort it out. It was a fight, but we got an accountant to do the stuff that we needed to do.
It's actually really fascinating that you named your brand to symbolize helping others, and you guys definitely put so much thought into that, and that is really cool. And I appreciate you coming out here.
No problem.
I had so much fun talking to you, and I
just want to add that is, like I said, the Ketcham Racing program is a great program from the school. It needs a lot of thought, a lot of willingness to participate, and I'm really glad that the folks doing the job and stuff. And people have to be dedicated and pay attention to what they're doing. Mr. Bliss does an excellent job, and my continued talks with the administration, Dr. Bonk and Mr. Sipe, to keep these programs rolling. And hopefully, as I said, I've seen some news broadcasts from the Highland Current, from Rhinebeck down the Beacon, that the competition between the schools is good and healthy for the students. Well, I want to add one quick thing. Many years ago, schools had shop. You did welding, you did woodwork, you did this. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, certain school districts have gotten away from doing that. And that's, it's not all college for people. It's trades. They need trades. You make good money in the trades. And with the program that the school has and the continuous funding and the outgoing of getting exposed to BMW, to Lime Rock, and to all the areas. I mean, you see racing on TV, the guy's going around, you have the clicker, but there's more than that. There's more than that. And a good movie is to watch is Ford versus Ferrari and do the research. That's a really good movie. Kind of tells the basic of what Ford had to do with their mid-engine cars to compete with the European cars. So
that movie was so good. I watched it with my dad, actually, because my dad's a car enthusiast. He loves old cars.
So, but again, the technology going into the older cars, the Duesenbergs and the Bentleys and all that, that was all handmade stuff. That was some guys just figuring out how to do it. They did it. It's like Harley Davidson and Yamaha and people like that, just did what they had to do. I appreciate you taking the time and letting me in this cast, and we'll do it again sometime.
Thank you so much for coming out here. I had an amazing time talking to you.
Thank you very much, sir.